We've got new footage of Leonitis training for his match with Brian Shaw in Korea. Let's take a look at what condition he is in on the arm wrestling table from some of these practice pulls with a Korean guy who is setting a king's move here against Leonitis, nodding his head. Leonitis surges. His wrist goes back slightly. You see him doing some pretty good climbs there. But he goes for this pin, and his wrist starts to go back a little bit. He does make some good adjustments with climbing there. But you're going to see him go in for a flop press here against the King's move. So he's moving pretty well on the table. Doesn't look like he's redlining. Just looks like he's going through the different techniques at maybe 85% intensity, something like that. You see, even after he flop press, he goes back outside and is able to hold the guy, so he has a lot of endurance. And here was another pull of him pulling against the Korean Hulk, which is the guy who Auden had a super match with. Looks like Korean Hulk got a pin there. That's a bit concerning if Korean Hulk is pinning Leonitis, considering Auden beat Korean Hulk. I think most people would think Leonitis would destroy Auden. Well, let's see. Again, practice pull. So you don't know how many times either of these guys pulled beforehand. But Leonitis setting a good position in the hand, kind of like he did against Schoolboy when Schoolboy was going inside, but then eventually his wrist was getting gassed against Leonitis. That seems to be his strong position, is going outside. And when Leonitis was visiting Devin was saying top roll is going to be the technique that you should use against Brian. You got to attack his hand, attack his finger somehow. So it seems like he is training the top roll, although in that initial pull we did see him do the flop press. And he does seem to do a lot of bicep curls for his training, although Brian Shaw in this interview, this Q&A with Philip Larson, was saying, you know, he doesn't think bicep curls or strict curls really have much of a carryover to arm wrestling, which I would pretty much agree with. I mean, having a general amount of power, more power is obviously helpful, but I think hand and wrist is going to come before anything, such as biceps. But in this clip here, he's talking about how a little bit venting about how it's good to find good training partners who are not just trying to beat him because he's a big name. And he wants to find productive training partners to have like a good training session with.
Because I am that. Hopefully you've seen that. It's like I don't have an ego. I don't need to. It's like I'm trying to learn. But it's
He's
not
saying
all about...
put aside the ego in training. He's looking for training partners that will not have an ego, but have a mutualistic relationship of training where they're both working on stuff and improving.
Out that. So if you come in and it's like, okay, well, let's try this. Let's work on this. And you have training partners that are cooperative. And then I've also got, you know, with, you know, different situations, I've also got into more clubs where you do have the line of people and everybody's walking up there and they're taking their, you know, their swing for the fences, right? Like it's like they're going to tee off, and you start to learn that that's what sometimes people are going to do. And so, you know, you have to be prepared. If you put yourself in that situation, you have to be prepared. And
you know, Brian Shaw not only trained with Philip Larson, but recently after that just went to Florida to train with a lot of the arm wrestlers in Florida, such as Brad Grundy, Chance Shaw, Dane, I believe, as well, and probably a bunch of others. So I'm sure he got some good training in there. I'm wondering if there's any footage of that. But Brian seems to be doing what it takes to get experience and get good practice and good table time with a lot of high-level guys. So
probably, I mean, to answer your question, it's probably like you just said, it's a hard thing, right? Because everybody, a lot of times what you have to be careful is everybody wants to walk into this practice or whatever, and they don't care if I've been arm wrestling for 3 hours or 4 hours. It's like if they catch me in a bad spot and
yeah, so he basically goes on to talk about the importance of having partners who are training partners who are communicative and not just there to try and get a pin on him to get a clip, you know.
Okay. Yeah. It was a very
somebody
good
they can work with.
And I went and trained with them, and they had.
And overall, this was a pretty good video here from Philip Larson. So I'll put the link in the description. But looks like both Leonitis and Brian Shaw are really taking this training serious for this match. But that won't be till the next EVW event. This upcoming one in Austria is only in 1 week, so that's going to be huge. Definitely make sure to use code Tom, buy the pay-per-view, save 5%, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.